minor league baseball now on the show as our road trip makes a stop in the AA Texas League. It's the home opener of this new season between the Tulsa Drillers and the San Antonio Missions.
Hey, what's up, guys? Tony here, and welcome to another episode of my MLB 15 Road to the Show series with Chester Adams. And this is the second episode, and this is our second outing in AA. And so we'll see how it went, because our first outing was pretty damn good. I pitched a really good game. I drove in some runs, surprisingly. As a pitcher, you don't do that very often. But it was a pretty good game, and so let's see how our second game of the season goes. Now, for this commentary, what I actually want to talk about is sort of a recap of April. And while I'm not paying that close of attention to the entirety of Major League Baseball, I'm obviously watching my division very closely. And the teams that have come in to Petco, or the teams that we've actually gone on the road to play. And the one thing that has surprised a lot of people so far this season about Petco and about I shouldn't say about the Padres themselves, because, I mean, if you're a baseball fan, you know that we went out and over the winter we revamped our offense. We actually added offense to our offense. Before, it was a lot of not much. Last season was pretty sad. I think Seth Smith was our only 300 hitter for the longest time, and then eventually he fell down below 300. And so I'll be honest, because I haven't actually really talked about the transactions that occurred over the winter, but I was kind of sad to lose Smith. He was a pretty solid left fielder, and from what I understand, there was talks about how he wanted to remain in San Diego, and I don't know if he bought a house or I don't know, but basically him and his wife and I think his family were like, yeah, we're going to remain here in San Diego. And I think the Padres sort of indicated that was going to happen, but when AJ Preller took over, he didn't make his old promises from the old GM. He was like, nope, I'm revamping this team as I see fit, of course. So he was dealt. I think he was dealt to the A's for Norris. I think. I don't remember, because I remember the transactions when they happened. I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, this is cool. Some of these guys like Norris and Nieves was with us a while back, but Norris was a big unknown. I didn't know much about Will Myers as well, so I was just kind of like, But like guys like Kemp and Upton are well-known players. And I just was sort of like beside myself, like, how do we have these two well-known hitters in our lineup every day? That's amazing. And of course, adding Shields only made it that much better to our already fantastic pitching staff. So I want to take a look at April and just kind of, I'm not going to run through April, but I just kind of want to look at April and get a good sense of like maybe how the season's going to go. Because we had a couple really good games. Like the first couple of games of the season, against the Dodgers were tough. But then again, I mean, you look at the Dodgers right now where they stand. Here we are in the 5th day of May. Oh, Cinco de Mayo. Awesome. I didn't realize it. But anyways, the Dodgers are a really strong team. And I think we all knew that they were a strong team. My hope was that their pitching would be their biggest Achilles heel. And so far, it seems like everything is working together for them. So as a Padres fan, I am waiting for that moment when something breaks with that team, because they're really on a roll. The Giants, I was really happy to see them starting the cellar, but they are unfortunately working their way back up. And so far this season, it's really kind of, I don't want to say nice, because you really want to run away with your division, but it is kind of nice to see I don't want to say strong division, because most of these teams are about 500. I would say a competitive division. We seem to have a very competitive division this time around, which for me, I think is nice. I mean, I think it'll add a little bit more to these interdivisional games when we play each other. So like when we play the Rockies, oh my God, Like, we played the Rockies. We took 2 out of 4 in Colorado, and then we swept them here in San Diego for the last series of April, which was nice. I'm like, yes, let's beat up on Colorado. We have to beat up on someone. But so far, the Giants and the Dodgers, I know they're going to be tests. They're going to be difficult games. Like last night, Bumgarner pitched a hell of a game against us, and all you can really do is tip your hat, you know. But what I want to talk about is sort of like the revamped offense, and Petco, and then there's one other team that I do want to talk about that's in the American League, which is astonishing. I'm kind of blown away by it. But so anyway, so like our revamped offense, like the one thing that the Padres can say for certain is that we've always generally had a really good pitching staff. Like Darren Balsley does a really good job as our pitching coach, and they just, for whatever reason, through maybe luck or just knowing players and developing players, but we've generally had a really good, not necessarily always a starting pitching staff, but our bullpen has been really good. Well, our bullpen so far in April has been very hit and miss. It has cost us several games, and it's frustrating. But again, that's kind of baseball. What's nice though is it seemed like the bullpen turned itself around. I think it was after the Dodgers series. Yeah, I think it was after the Dodgers series at late April. So that's nice. But the offense though, like, we haven't had this much offensive production in a long time. So it's nice to see guys going into like the month of May with 6 home runs already in the month. And you're just like, wait, what? The last time last season we might have had 6 home runs collectively, like as a team in the month. You know, there was not one player who was like projected to hit 25 to 30 home runs for the season by himself. It just hasn't really happened. And a lot of people say that they feel as if, like, so I saw one thing, I think it was on ESPN or Baseball Tonight. They're like, oh yeah, it's global warming or something like that. No one can quite explain why a pitcher's park like Petco is starting to see like a lot of home runs. But the one thing that they've been talking about that they haven't quite studied yet was our new HD scoreboard. Like, how big of an impact does that actually have in the crosswinds or whatever that's going on in the outfield? Is it maybe blocking air from blowing in from left field and not knocking balls down? So maybe that's a factor, because that's what some people are talking about. And I don't think the actual scoreboard itself physically changed its size. I think it's still the same structure, but it just has full of panels now. I don't think it was multi-panel before. You know, it's kind of one of those things, like, I honestly never bothered to look before, but that's one of the things. And I heard that, I think it was in the broadcast last night or the night before. No, night before we had the day off. Either that or the last game of the Rockies series, like so Petco and Minute Maid Park in Houston were tied at that time for the most home runs in Major League Baseball hit at those parks with 37. I was just like, 37? Oh my God, that's a lot of home runs. And I witnessed some of that, like the Padres-Dodgers game on the 25th I went to, and there were 7 home runs hit in that game. 7 home runs. And I never have seen 7 home runs hit in a single ball game, let alone at Petco. Like, maybe 1 or 2, but 7 was like, holy shit. The ball is just flying out here. Now, granted, that was like the Ian Kennedy just sort of implosion. Like, that was a terrible, oh my God, was that a terrible outing for him. I'm quite surprised that he was still in the game after that. He should have, like, after the second inning, hit the showers, buddy. You're done. But yeah, the offensive production of the Padres has gone up, minus last night. Last night, you know, like I said, you just kind of tip your cap to a really good pitcher and move on, and, you know, hopefully we get him tonight. So the other thing I want to talk about is a team that surprised me, and I think it surprised a lot of people, but the Astros. The Astros just came off a 10-game win streak. They got beat by the Rangers last night, and I'll be honest, like, when I saw the Astros on the schedule, I was like, that's an easy 3 wins right there. Okay, so we might have dropped a couple, and they're a 1 whole game too, because they're interleague. So we might have dropped a couple to the Dodgers, might drop a couple to the Giants, but if we can take 3 games from the Astros, fine. Sort of like wash, right? It's a wash. But they came in, and my God, did they hit the ball all over the place. It was, I don't want to say it was impressive, but as a Padres fan and as a fan of a team that hasn't been so good lately, I can kind of appreciate, I can definitely empathize with Astros fans, because the Astros haven't been good for a very long time. And especially when they moved over to the American League, they totally restructured the team. And I don't think, oh my God, I don't even know what their standings were last season. I would have to go look, but I don't think they finished very well. I think they lost over 100 games. I have to go look. But anyways, I can empathize with the Astro fans about just how much it sucks to lose and have a bad team. But when you see the Astros playing well, for me, it's like, God, it sucks to have your team get totally beat up. Like when we lost 13 or 14-3, and then the Monday game that I actually had went to as well, we lost. Was it 9-? Excuse me, 9-4. And so just seeing like the margins that we'd lose, like, oh, this is not good. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? I can appreciate that for the Astros fan, because I've been there and I know what it's like, and it's nice to see your team do well. So it was a really strange. It was more of a baseball moment for me. It was more of a, just like from a fan standpoint, just sort of, you know what? These guys are playing excellent baseball, and it sucks that it's being done to my team. But I actually do like the fact that it's not the same teams every year doing well. I like to see that shake-up, and I like to see the Astros shaking up the American League West. They really deserve it. I mean, well, I don't think any team deserves it, but I mean, you know, the fan base could really use something like this. Now we'll see if it goes on, if it keeps going, or maybe they were just red hot in April and then they just go on a slide in May, and then they go and they find themselves in the cellar. That would suck. But they seem to be playing really good baseball. So that's a team that has really shocked me thus far. Oh, you know, the last thing I'll talk about before I go, because this is not going to be long commentary, even though it looks like it's going to go the rest of the game. But that the game in Baltimore, where fans were locked out because of all the rioting going on in Baltimore, that was interesting. Like, and it was kind of fun to see the players make light of it, you know, by throwing fake balls into the stands. But the one thing that I'll say is, I don't know the player's name, but I watched the highlights on MLB.com. The guy who crushed that home run, holy crap, the sound off the bat was pretty damn sexy, I'll have to say. If you haven't seen it, go take a look at that video, because with nobody in the stands, you don't hear any sort of fan crowd noises or anything like that. That was an amazing sound. Like, he hit the snot out of that ball, and it was amazing to hear. I don't know, for me, I just like, you know, I imagine if you're a baseball fan, you like the sound when a bat hits the ball. It's pretty damn awesome. But that one was just like, holy shit, you heard it and you're like, crushed. There's no doubt about that. So anyways, I'm going to go here. What I wanted to know from you guys is just sort of like, what are your thoughts about this first month of the season? You know, I know I asked the last video, like, how's your team doing? But just like, are there any surprises for you in this first month of the season? So for me, like I said, there was a couple, and I listed them, and I'm just kind of looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this first month of the 2015 season. So as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I shall talk to you guys later.
Comes the manager out of the first base dugout. Well, you always hope to get a good outing from your starting pitcher, but this man went above and beyond in this one. He's our top player of the game.
Yeah, it's not the longest outing he'll ever have. He only made it 6 full innings, but he definitely brought his good stuff to the ballpark, and he winds up helping his guys get out of here with a victory.